Coming up on this episode of Uncanceled Culture, we're talking about deadbeat moms. And we brought up deadbeat dads before, but we're going to talk about deadbeat moms. And we have a story coming up from an old buddy of mine. We're going to go over some comments and anything else that pops up on this episode of Uncanceled Culture. Welcome back, everybody. This is Uncanceled Culture. I'm Porky.
I'm the Louie.
Louie, he's got his flight. He's still got his flights.
Still got the flights.
How you been, man? What's going on?
Oh, man. Doing good. Actually, wasn't a bad week.
I hear you were at an old San Antonio favorite.
At an old San Antonio favorite, the Royal Palace.
Royal Palace. If you're from San Antonio, you know what the Royal Palace is. And if you don't, then... I don't
Especially
know.
Growing up in the 90s.
Yeah.
That was the place to be.
I think that was the first place I made out.
That was
honestly,
really?
For real. I think that was the first place.
Mine was a movie theater.
Well, I don't know. We won't go there.
We won't go
there. Nah, but yeah. So how you been? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
It's good, man. You know, you bring it up, right? And it was a place to be back in the 90s. But
that's where everybody was at.
But it's actually coming back. Like there's something there every single weekend. I was there the past 2 weekends for quinceañera. So
yeah.
And they've actually redone it, so it looks a lot better now.
Oh, I haven't been there. I haven't been there.
It actually looks really good. I don't know if you remember when you would walk in, the stage was all the way to the back. They had the dance floor all the way to the back, right?
Right.
Well, now it's right in the middle, and so they have another bar in the back. They have a bar in the front. The way they decorated, it's a lot better.
It's all spiffy now.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, the old days, there was a place to be, man.
Yeah, man. You know what? They just see Smokey in there every time we walked in.
And it was the smoke from the last event.
Exactly. It wasn't the DJ smoke. There was some other smoke in there.
Might have been asbestos. I don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
You never know.
Oh man. So yeah, you've been all right.
Good, man. Been good.
School started yet?
Not yet.
The youngins.
I think we got 1 more week.
Are you serious?
1 more week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lucky,
they start on the 21st. So
lucky. We're going into our second week already.
So you're lucky or we're lucky?
No, you're lucky.
How do you figure?
Because they haven't started school yet.
So that means the fridge gets raided 4 or 5 times a day.
I forgot about that. Yeah, first of all, it was no pants July.
Yeah,
and now you
think
it's empty fridge August.
It's empty fridge. Exactly. You think that you have $200 usually lasts you a few weeks, right? That thing's lasting us a week, bro. If even that.
And I'm looking at those zebra cakes behind you.
Yeah, man.
Ready to pop
we're
them
going
suckers
through
open, man.
We're going through 2 gallons of milk a week. Not even lying.
Interesting question. So now, see, we're going off on a tangent here. What kind of milk do you drink?
2%.
See, remember back in the day? Whole milk,
it was
bro.
just whole milk.
It was whole milk.
Like they didn't even have a section for 2%. It was like one little rack.
Yeah.
Now they have it's a whole section.
Oh, you want 2%? It's on back order. We don't have it.
We might have some in the back. It's like 2 days left till it expires.
If you want 2%, you're gonna have to just water it down.
Yeah. And people did. But 2%.
Man. So yeah, we went off on a tangent there. Sorry. So we got some feedback. We also got some current events. Oh man.
Oh.
I don't know. What do we want to talk about first, man? The showdown, the rumble on the river.
What is it called? What was it called? Where was it at?
Was it Mississippi or Alabama?
It was Alabama, but
Alabama.
What was the town name?
Because I know maybe it was a small town.
Yeah, they tried it in a small town.
Tried it in a small town, bitches.
They effed around and found out.
It's what you wanted. You wanted it in a small town, and they found out.
That's right.
Man, I didn't know exactly what was going on, and Roxanne told me, she's like, "You see that crap that's going on?" I'm like, "No," and then I saw little by little, and then it just blew up, man. And of course, where we get our news from, TikTok. The guys are making videos in Walmart, carrying chairs. Oh, man.
I know. I've already seen so many reenactments already. Man, they had one that was, they like literally did it at a pool and they were doing the reenactment.
Oh, I think I saw that one.
Goodness, that thing was,
I think I saw that
thing was
one,
good.
dude.
It was good.
Man. And they're dragging those people they're throwing them under the bus, dragging them in the river, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, they're beating them up. Yeah, that was funny.
Montgomery.
Was funny. Oh, is it Montgomery?
Yeah, so they were calling it the Montgomery Tea Party. Yeah, it's if you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure you have. But if you haven't seen it, you gotta go and dive into that one. Go to
get
TikTok.
It, dive like the guy
dive. No pun intended.
No puns. Oh man. Well, anyway, we posted a couple of questions this week. One of them, let me go over them. I believe one of them was if you could talk to your 18. Well, now because we have an older audience, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
But if we're all in our 40s or whatever.
Yeah, we're there.
Some of us are.
Yeah,
some of us. But anyway.
Well, the question was,
yeah,
if you could talk to your 18-year-old self, what would be the first thing you would tell them? And we had some feedback. We had some comments. You have any that you wanna start off with?
The one, who was the first one that we did? You want to? Okay. Well, Christy said, "Save your money." Again, this is talking to her 18-year-old self.
Yeah.
Save your money. Keep doing you. Don't let family or friends decide your future. How often does that happen? Does it happen like your son went to the Air Force?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of decision did he make? Like, was that something because your dad?
So
his grandpa?
I didn't know, right? I didn't know, but he said that he had already been thinking about it for a while, and he wanted to, because he wanted to follow in my dad, in grandpa's footsteps, right?
Right.
And I didn't know that, and I was like, oh, that's cool, that's awesome. But it does happen. It does happen, and I'll tell you like this. I was talking to a young man yesterday at the quinceañera that we were at, and when we were talking about, I posed the question to him, or not. I didn't pose it to him, but I told him this is a question that we have on the podcast, because of course I'm always promoting it, right? So I'm like, hey, you need to listen to this, and so I'm telling him, and I said, let me tell you something that I wish people would have said,
right,
to me, right? If somebody tells you no, and you really want to do it, don't take no for an answer. Go for it.
Right.
He was talking about, hey, I want to go. I want to go to the police department. I want to go to the academy.
Right.
I want to do this. I want to do that. Right. And I'm like, great. If that's your goal, then don't let anybody hold you back.
That's true.
I shared my experience when right out of high school. I had a small scholarship. The I forgot what it was, the Alamo whatever scholarship that we had, and I was going to Palo Alto. And I was taking, I went through my first semester, did great. My first semester, I took criminal justice 1.
Right.
So my goal was I wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted to be a detective. I wanted to, go further. So my second semester, I was taking criminal justice 2.
Right.
And I went through, and the class was fine. The day of the final, I show up. Well, our professor, he was a Judge Hale. I remember that, right?
Oh, wow.
He was pretty well known. He had some big cases here. And he had a case that day, so he had to reschedule the final. So I see it says, rescheduled to this date. Right. Perfect. Left, came back that day that it was supposed to be rescheduled for. And when I get there's nobody in class.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, shoot, I guess they rescheduled it again. He maybe had another case, right? So I left. And come to find out, they had moved the class. And I guess it was on the paper. I just never saw it. Right. So I end up not taking the final. I get an incomplete, and I lose the scholarship.
Oh, shit.
And instead of fighting for it and following up, and I literally, to me, that was a no. Right? It was basically them telling me you can't continue. and I
man.
didn't. Like that was literally my last semester of college.
Yeah.
Right, my second semester, and I let it go.
Yeah.
And I really wish, if we want to, I know we keep talking about the regret question. if any regrets, right? One day.
I regret that we haven't talked about
We're going to regret.
Regret.
But I literally regret that I didn't
teeth.
continue.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But it was basically like being told no, and I was like, I took it.
Right.
And I just went another route. And, the other route didn't take me into good places for a while. I'm happy where I'm at now, but it was a struggle, man.
You ended up going to Joe's Volcano.
Every Sunday night.
Every Sunday night.
Dude, we literally talked about that. We were talking about the balloon drop, the wet t-shirt contest, it was 75 cent. What was it? 75 cent cherry vodka sours.
You could go to any dance club. Atrium.
Remember Sharky's?
Everywhere, Sharky's. You could
Hollywood.
go and it was 75 cents something.
Yeah.
Like they were charging 75 cents for water.
Yeah.
You would be going to drink
Sunrise.
it. Yeah. Oh, tequila sunrise.
Cherry vodka sours, man.
Oh, I remember the atrium. See, we're going off on a tangent here, but I gotta tell my story. So, me and this friend, Santaline.
Oh, Santaline.
Yeah, we go and we go to what's that billiards place that was up there on San Pedro? Tiffany's. Okay, well they had to reopen Tiffany's because there was other stuff before they opened up again. So it was Tiffany's. Club, so we go over there, right, and they had like 50-cent. Everything like 50-cent, whatever.
Yep.
So we were like, okay, we're gonna start off there, and then we're gonna go to the atrium. So we're like, and then they had their 75-cent thing or whatever. Yep. So we were there paying pool, drinking back, and then literally the girl was walking around with like mounds of like,
just drinks already made. Yeah.
So we were just bam, 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 dude. We got so wasted we didn't even go to the atrium. We literally fell asleep in the parking lot.
Wow. I remember those days. We don't do that anymore.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's what we did. I'm sorry, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're way off topic here.
Well, that was one of the things that you would tell your 18-year-old self. We had some other comments as well. So we had Sabrina.
Who's that?
I don't know, man. Name drop. We name drop Sabrina again.
Yeah, she's the new name drop.
We
name drop Roger all the time, but now it's name drop Sabrina.
So she said, "Don't take that break from college." Well, shoot, I wish she would have told me that when I was 18. Said, "Don't take that break from college. You're not gonna go back, and if you do, it's gonna be way down the road." And then number 2, keep going. Nothing worth having comes easy.
Of course.
So again, I wish she was there to tell me when I was 19 years old.
Why weren't you there when I was in college playing ping pong all day?
She was 4 years old when I was 18.
See, she was smart.
Yeah, man.
I needed that when I was at Our Lady of the Lake playing ping pong all day. I wasn't going to classes. I was in what they called the UAC. It was the athletic place.
Yeah.
So they had the TVs and the sofas and the ping pong tables. And dude, I played ping pong all day. I was dropping classes left and right, bro.
Yeah.
I needed Sabrina back then to tell me, stay in school,
Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
Oh, yeah. You know what happened?
That should have been on our last one.
I needed you there last time, too, man.
Well, we had Basil.
What?
Basil came on, and he said, don't go out with Porky when you turn 21 because you will get labeled as a bad influence.
Man, that's another story in itself, bro. And I gotta apologize for Basil, man.
I had heard the stories, right, man? Because we all went out a few times, but I know y'all went out a little bit more frequent than I did.
Oh my god!
But
wow,
when we went to a certain occasion that y'all had, and we showed up, and he was like, they're just looking at me like, yes, I'm the bad influence guy, and I was like, oh man, I'm sorry, man.
Man,
sorry,
I felt bad for Basil, man. He didn't need all that. He didn't need all that, man. He got labeled that back in 2000, bro. Because I ended up spending New Year's with him.
Oh man.
And my mom was incensed. She was pissed,
livid,
right? Because we spend New Year's with our family,
thing,
and then that one day, and it was the millennium thing, we're like, oh shit, we're gonna die, and all the computers are gonna go down, and we're like, I guess we wanted to experience it together. But we're there in his front yard, man. And that was New Year's. But oh my God, my mom. Sorry, Basil. My apologies, bro. And ever since that day, it was like
that day. Yep. Well,
I'm formally apologizing.
We have Kathy that came on and she said, "Stay single and follow your dreams." Pretty straight and basic, right?
It's pretty hard to do for kids nowadays. Why do the kids feel like they need to have
somebody
so young?
That's not, honestly, man. I think it's.
Were we like that?
Some of us were. Some of us were.
Louis was like that.
Yeah, I was on lockdown. Man, since I was like 16, I think, bro. Golly. I didn't do the single thing. You know that?
Yeah, you always had somebody. I mean, sorry.
She knows.
I'm
kidding. She knows.
No, but Louis was a stud. That's why. He was a stud meister walking
I was
around.
off the market, bro.
Yeah, every single time. He was like, there he is with somebody. Oh, boy.
And then last.
Don't hate me, Sabrina.
Don't hate it.
Yeah, I can feel the eyes like just
going through the wall.
They're burning the back of my head, my bald head.
Then we had Michael. He said, "Invest in houses, puto." That's his exact quote.
That is words to live by.
You know what? When you think about it now, man, and you see people that are doing it, right? It is literally like a gold mine. You
selling houses,
flipping them, renting them. Honestly, man, that's just money flowing in all the time. And if you manage it correctly, you can make a pretty good living.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's not bad advice, actually, for people that are coming out and maybe don't know exactly what they want to do yet, and that's I think a way to go. Right. That's actually a way to go. You can go and buy a house for, man, 30, 40, 50,000.
Yeah.
Put some money into it, flip it, and then you make some
double
money.
It,
and then you just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of jealous of this guy. I knew him when he was 21, when I was working for that phone company that I mentioned in the last one. The dude was young, man. He was 21, right? And I see now what he's doing. He's making buku bucks, man. Because he was smart with his money. He knew what he wanted to do with it. He got into there's these things that people are doing with Amazon. There's a way that they can make money, and they bring people in, and they can make more money. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a different type of thing that they do with Amazon stuff. Well, this dude, he's about to open a fitness place by himself.
Yeah,
literally, like by himself. Him, his wife, and he might have had one person, but a whole, like, a grandiose fitness place.
Yeah.
And he's just going, dude. But he started when he was 21.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you start investing when you're young.
And he's real smart with his money, man. He was really smart.
That's the thing. Is just, there's some people that can make money and then they just blow it right away, right? But but if you start investing and investing, when you talk about investing, you're putting money into something that you're gonna get a return in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you start doing that at a young age, man, you can retire early.
Which is the hardest thing to do, because when you're young, you
want to spend money.
Want to do money. You want to spend money. You want to go here. You want to go there, and there's no risk. I guess you could say, because you're just like, I'm
gonna make more money next week.
We were all there. It's not like we were all the same, okay, in some ways. We didn't save our money. We didn't go, like, we should have went to school. I should have went to school. I see that now, and now I think a lot of people see that now they're 30s, 40s, and they're going back to school.
Yep.
And they're making that change. Like, they're like, you know what, I should have did this before.
Yeah.
And now that they really have the opportunity, they're really taking advantage of it. I know a lot of people that went back to school, dude, and they're in their 40s already. I'm like,
yeah, it's tough.
Something to do.
But you know what? It's possible. And there's one person that I saw do that. I saw my dad. My dad. So he went into the military, right? And he was in the military for 36 years. But right towards the end, maybe the last 10, 15 years, I saw him. He started going back to school. He started doing some online classes, and he did some classes at certain colleges.
Right.
Then he ended up going to to TOU.
Oh,
right?
really?
And then he ended up getting a degree, and he got a teacher's degree until he started teaching.
No way.
But I saw that, and he used, of course, he was smart because he used the government's money, right? The money from the military, to be able to go to school free, you know, or they pay for most of it, and he was able to do that. And he went, taught for a little bit. He was a coach for a little bit. Then you know he just continued doing what he wanted to do, and that was the thing. When I saw him do that, I was like, man, it's never too late to go back. It's really not. You know, I talked to Sabrina, and she's mentioned some people that are in her classes that she's gone to, right? And she's like, man, there's people that are you know, they're older and they're going back to school. And it's a lot harder, you know, of course, right? It depends. It could be a lot harder, and it could be a lot easier for some people because now their kids are already grown, they're already out of the house, and they're able to now do that.
Right.
But you do see, like, man, I wish I would have done that when I was younger. You know, I was telling like the same young man that I was talking to yesterday. I said, look, if you don't know what you want to do and you don't have a goal, and he did, right? He says, I want to do the academy. But this is to other young people. If you don't have a goal, or it's not that you don't have a goal, you don't know what you want to do yet as a career.
Right.
I will tell you this: you can't go wrong with majoring in business. You can't, because. Right, this is all it is. It's making money. Right.
That's what you're trying to do.
Managing money, making money. And so honestly, if you don't know anything, if you don't know that you want to go into the medical field or athletics or to be a teacher or whatever, right? You don't have that, like, I know what I want to do. I would make business, you know, one of your majors and say, this is what I want. I'm going to go for that. You're gonna have to take stats. You're gonna have to take all these maths. You're gonna have to take everything. But you know what? It's gonna benefit you. It's gonna be beneficial. That word that we used before. It's gonna be beneficial. You know,
learn how to speak Spanish too.
Exactly. Or English.
Or don't be like Uncle Porky here and hate math and not go to school. You know, and I guess, you know, when I really think about it, I mean, I should have, you know, pushed a little harder. You know,
I think we all should have.
I think we all, you know, we could have done that. What else you got, Louis?
Well, that's all I have for that question.
Okay, so the other question was, or it wasn't a question. It was another.
It was a statement.
The statement. Yeah.
Big Red is better than Dr. Pepper. I said what I said.
And all these, and like I mentioned before, I'm not that smart to think of these questions. So these are coming from was it Texas Memes? Mm-hmm. Texas Memes. It's on Facebook. So some of these questions, and they're good questions because I mean obviously it has to do with Texas. But I don't know, Doctor. Well, okay. Well, let's look at this. What do you call it? Regional.
Okay.
So if you look at it regional, I think a lot of people from where Dr. Pepper originated from, which was Waco area, I think somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Waco. I bet they actually have a Dr. Pepper museum.
Right. Yeah. And I think that area up there obviously is just
Dr. They're sold on Dr. Pepper.
But down here.
Well, honestly, Texas.
Well, yeah.
So Texas, so Big Red, of course, it's a South Texas thing.
Because we got the barbacoa and Big Red thing.
Yeah. But it's a Texas thing, you know, to the point where, man, I have people I know people that when they come to Texas, they stock up on Big Reds and they take them home, right?
That's what my cousins used to do.
You know, my godfather lives in California and he's from here. Mm-hmm. And every time he would come, he'd take a few cases of Big Red, take it back home.
Yep.
He finally started finding it at the Cracker Barrel over there in California.
In Big Red?
Yeah, so he goes buy some whenever he can. Like me, I'm a fan of both. I can drink both.
I can drink both. Like, you know,
there's some people that don't like Dr. Pepper to save their life.
Really?
If that's all there was left,
they wouldn't drink it.
They would drink water.
Wow, which is good too, I guess.
Well, it's better for you, but
I mean, it's not soda.
But it's not good.
It's not.
There's no flavor. But we did have a comment. Well, we had Sebastian. He just put a meme and he was like, "Yep,
yeah,
like right, Big Red, that's the thing." But Chrissy, who we love her comments, man. She's always coming out with some comments. She says she's never had Big Red, but see, and she's not from here.
True.
She's from Philadelphia.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah,
right.
Right,
she's from Philadelphia, right? Her and her family's from Philadelphia.
And then it took me a while because when I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, how could you not have? And then I remember. She's not
However, they've been here for a while,
right?
But she still never had Big Red, and you commented it's about time you did, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, is that gonna make me a true Texan? And I said, well, we got some work to do with that. However, it's a start. It's a start.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, how do you not have Big Red?
Yeah, exactly.
That's just weird. But you think about, you remember SEMA?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember SEMA Red?
Yeah.
That was pretty big too.
It was.
It might have even been more popular than
for a while.
Big Red
for a while. Yeah, it was.
Because I remember that growing up. I mean, if you don't, you're not old enough to know what SEMA Red. It's not around anymore, as far as I know.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah,
but
after
SEMA,
that came out the Fanta, and then came out all the other red sodas.
Yeah. But to not have Big Red, I think we're gonna have a Big Red party.
Well, and did you ever have the Big Red gum?
Yes.
It wasn't the same.
Well, it was Spice, wasn't it? Spice. Oh, you remember the Big Red popsicles?
Yes. Well, shoot, I used to make my own popsicles with Big Red.
Just put them in the ice tray.
Yeah, I used to make Big Red ice cubes, man. That's how you do it.
Oh, man.
I see the kids doing that a little bit more now. They look for stuff to put in there, I'm like, stop putting stuff in there. But, they do it, and I'm like, man, I remember being like that.
There's stuff you can buy on Amazon now to do that stuff.
I'm always trying to give people money. Trying to do things free, bro.
We're all about saving money here.
Yeah, I had some other comments, man. I had some people give some feedback to our actual the show.
Oh yeah. Oh, you had had
quite a few actually.
Right.
So I had Stephanie come on, and she was talking about the Spanish, right? And she's like, I didn't use my Spanish until I moved to San Antonio. Mm-hmm. So she's from Michigan. And she was like, as an adult, I lived in Phoenix for 6 years and Alabama for 5. And man, so she was traveling. She was, I traveled across the Southeast for 3. And when she was in retail management, she would have Hispanic people come into the clothing store and speak Spanish to coordinate stealing from the store. Because that's the only time I would use it. So to surprise the shit out of them and get them to leave the store, she'd start to speak Spanish, right? Aside from that,
güerita.
Exactly. Yeah. Aside from that, as much as I would advertise my being bilingual on my resumes and applications, nobody ever cared. So when I moved here about 7 years ago, I learned in the first week that most of SA doesn't even really speak it, but I definitely use it regularly, even more here, and it feels good to be able to do so.
Yeah, to freak people out.
Yeah, to freak people out.
It's like, oh shit.
She also had a comment on the food. She said she loves Chris Madrid's.
Yeah.
She loves Chipotle and Peter Piper's.
Oh, yeah.
She absolutely hates Mi Tierra.
Yes.
And agrees that it's a touristy spot.
Yep.
But she does not agree with our Domino's comment.
Oh, God.
Because the thin crust Hawaiian is her favorite.
No.
So.
No.
That just shows she's not a true Texan.
Well, let's see. Like, if I'd rather have HEB pizza, if you put Domino's in front of me, I'm gonna eat that HEB pizza.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I might even have the Totino's pizza before that Domino's.
On the 4-pack, because I eat the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I had I had Christina come on, and I had mentioned her in the last episode. We didn't get time to share her feedback, but we were talking about different places, right?
Right.
So
she had a long list.
She had a long list.
Right,
so she's an avid traveler. She goes, let's start at home. So she's from here. She's Mi Tierra Cafe and the Panderia in Austin, Taqueria Mucho. She goes, they're all overpriced, bland, and really, it's just for the experience. Mm-hmm. You go to Austin, she says Oasis, a very touristy spot. It literally sits over Lake Travis.
Wow.
You have a great view, right? Whenever there's water. Right. You have a great view. But she says it's overpriced food. You're just looking at the view of that, right? In Dallas, she goes, it doesn't disappoint on the raves about their hot spots for food. I might.
You would know.
Yeah, I might say, I think she's gone to some good spots because we've been to some spots where, again, I think you're there for the experience. You're there for the stuff they have going on besides the food.
Yeah.
It's not that great. It's really not. San Antonio is way better than Dallas. I'll tell you that. Phoenix, she says Francine's is not good. I didn't like it at all. They have bone marrow that they add to the pasta, and it had no wow factor.
What the?
And then she says, and all Mexican food outside of Texas is trash. And I mean trash. In Denver, Casa Bonita, trash. Federale is also just regular, nothing with a wow factor. Al Ear is a barbecue spot, and it's nothing like Texas.
Yeah.
Chubby's Burger spot is just a burger. The cheese fries trash, and she goes, I actually got sick.
Oh.
She also has been to Hawaii. She says Hawaii, so they have a cookie store. It's called Cookies at Honolulu Cookie Company. Expensive and nothing out of the ordinary. Very, very ordinary. Leonard's Donuts is all the hype, and no, I did not like their popular donut. It was gross. Just a filled donut, but the island favorite. So that's her comment on the food.
But that's like that's world traveler right there.
Yeah, this
man.
girl is
that's
traveling like crazy.
Over. I mean that's when you travel, like you say, you like to travel, you know, or instead of being here, and I keep my feet here in the ground. But like, I think that's the one thing you want to do when you go to different places is try the food.
So okay,
you want to try the food.
I'll tell you, this is the difference between me and her, me and Sabrina.
Uh-huh.
Me, I'd rather be safe.
Yeah.
And know that I'm going to eat something and I'm not going to be in the bathroom throwing up or going to the bathroom, right? All day.
Like Don Pedro's.
Yeah. So she loves to try different things. So if we're literally going into a new city or we're going into wherever we're going, before we even get there, she's already looking up spots. We're going to try this spot. We're going to try this spot. We're going to try. And I'm like, first of all, I'm hearing cha-ching, 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 right? And then second,
and she may not even like it.
Yeah, and then second, I'm like, man, it doesn't seem safe for me.
Yeah.
Me, I have stomach issues, so like I'm like, man, do I really want to try this stuff? You know, I'll tell you this is how we do it. She loves seafood, right? Yeah, it's sus, right? She loves seafood, and so everywhere we go, she has to try either their crawfish or crab or something, right?
Yeah.
So every time we go to a place like that, we show up and she orders this massive freaking meal. You know, I want a pound of crawfish, I want a pound of shrimp, I want this. And I'm like, let me have chicken tenders.
Like a kid, right?
Like a kid.
Like a kid.
Just stay safe.
Hey, burger. Can you have a burger, please?
Just stay safe. Just stay safe.
Just stay safe, man.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
But we like everybody's comments.
Yeah.
Keep bringing them. We want to share them.
We need them.
We want to hear them.
And people, drink your Big Red. It's like a vitamin down here. All right. So we posed a question on Facebook, and we had talked about deadbeat dads. We talked about the child support thing in one of the previous shows, and that kind of got us thinking of if there are deadbeat moms or just bad moms in general.
Well, you know, and I think we talked about deadbeat parents. But the majority that was mentioned was about the dads because that's the majority of the people that are usually absent or gone. But the statement that was put on Facebook was, deadbeat mothers exist. I'm tired of y'all acting like it's always the dads. And we had some feedback. You know, unfortunately, it's true. And people are saying true. But we actually have someone here that has a story, and we're going to go ahead and introduce them and bring them in.
So I have a buddy of mine that I've known before, and I've seen him post some stuff on Facebook about some issues that he might have had. So I thought that he'd be perfect to bring on so that we can hear his story. So Larry is an old friend of mine. I knew him from Our Lady of the Lake. Larry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, man. How you been, Larry?
I'm living the dream, just like you, sir.
No. Larry was actually a mentor to me, to be honest with you. When I first got to Our Lady of the Lake, was it 95 or 96? Do you remember what year I met you? 95 or?
Yeah, I think it was 95.
95, right? Yeah. So I met Larry then, and he... So a little background on that, because my parents were really, really strict, right? Yeah. So he actually went to my house and talked to my parents and asked them if it was okay if he could go, because we were having an outing for this fraternity. What was it? It was a sorority.
Fraternity Alpha Phi Omega, man.
Right, that's right. And so we were having this thing where we were having a scavenger hunt. We were going to have it downtown. So my parents, again, were really strict. And he actually took the time to go to my house, and he talked to my parents. And he said, he's going to be with me. He's going to be fine. So, and that's just the kind of guy that Larry is. He's real kind, real gentle.
So somebody should have taken that approach and that advice.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And he wouldn't be the bad influence
No.
that he is today. So.
Not Porky.
You lived on Abacus, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
Yeah,
We're
that's
still there.
good
Yeah,
memory.
he remembers. Yeah.
Shit, I'm old.
No, we're both old. We're all old. But yeah, Larry. So we were talking about this situation or this issue that we had, and I know that you had brought up some stuff before, and we just kind of want to hear your story. We just want to get your side of it, and because I'm sure it was pretty bad. But can you maybe just kind of start from the beginning and let us know, and then we might have some questions for you?
Yeah, of course. So, I've been married twice, and the first time was very brief, with someone that was just kind of out there in their own little world. But the second time was the major one. I met my ex-wife, through work, probably about, 15, 17 years ago, something like that. We dated for a couple of years, and then we got married, and then, we had talked about kids. She mentioned that she never wanted to have kids. Biologically, it just didn't appeal to her. So we went through the foster care system, and we adopted 2 little girls who obviously had come from a bad background, and everything was good. We went through all the background checks, the trainings, everything they teach you to be a supportive parent,
Right.
and a loving parent, and everything seemed cool. And then after the adoption was completed, she took a 180, and that's when things really went south. And so she was emotionally abusive to the kids. She would haze them. She would, talk shit to me all the time.
Right.
And I mean, it really got out of hand, and it got to the point where I actually called CPS on her.
Really?
And anonymously, but they could never prove anything. But when she would have these little incidents with the children, I would discreetly take pictures behind her back, just in case something might happen.
Right.
And sure enough, she tried to petition me for custody when we filed for divorce, and not because she wanted him, but just to spite me.
Yeah.
And that's when I had background to prove that she was an unfit parent. And subsequently, she gave up her parental rights altogether rather than try to correct the situation for herself or for these children that were hers. And we haven't seen her since.
Wow.
And so I've been raising my girls 100% on my own for the last 4 years, and no child support, no other parent, nothing like that. So, but it is what it is, and it's all good, and everything happens for a reason.
Right.
So, and we still work in the same industry, which is kind of weird. So, we knew a lot of the same people and things like that.
So what was there a day that how was that day that you just finally realized, like, fuck this, like I really gotta get out of this, or I really gotta figure out a different situation?
I remember the culmination, the defining moment was, we were trying to buy a house, and we were talking about it at dinner one night, and she was, pretty much telling me how she wanted things done, because she was a very A-type personality. Mm-hmm. And I just said, you know what? I need a break. I just said, I can't do this anymore. I were at the dinner table, and she's like, well, what does that mean? I don't know what a break means. That means, so I said, I need time to think if this is what I really want to do.
Yeah.
And she kept pressing me, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? And so I didn't know what it meant at that time, but about a week before that, my daughter had celebrated her 10th birthday. On her 10th birthday, my daughter had CCD that day, and she came running out of the classroom and jumped right into my arms. Not because I was the preferred parent, but just because she didn't see my ex-wife.
Right.
And my ex-wife snapped and started screaming and cussing, and right there in public, she's like, you know what? I know you. I knew it all along. Those kids don't want me; they just want you. And I was like, chill the fuck out,
So she made a scene.
She made a scene, yeah, and she kept on in the car, and we were gonna go have lunch. I remember, and we got to the restaurant. And she was still going ballistic in the parking lot at South Park Mall. Everyone was like all watching, and because that's what the hood does, right? And so, she got in my face and said, if you don't, if you keep this up, I'm gonna go over there and break your kneecaps in front of everybody, in front of my kids. And my youngest daughter, jumped in front of me and screamed, "No, don't hurt my daddy."
Really?
Yeah, and she just marched off in a huff, and then a week later, I just said, I need out of here. Yeah.
So I got a question, Larry. How old were the girls when you all adopted them?
They were 7 and 8.
7 and 8. So just a question: do you think that already having them that far in age either had anything to do or played a part, or do you think that would have just been her either way, whether y'all would have gotten them when they were younger?
That's a good question. She had mentioned before when we started this that she had wanted someone younger, like maybe 4 or 5, and she just kind of said it in conversation. I don't know how serious she was about it, but she said, if we get a call saying that there's kids that are available, I'll let you decide yes or no. Mm-hmm. And so I got a call, and they told me about these 2 little girls and their background, and the parental rights had already been terminated. And so that kind of helps if you try to adopt kids. And so I said yes. And so that's a good question. I don't know if that would have been the case. I think a lot of this resulted from her own personal childhood trauma, because she herself had a rough upbringing, and so she chose not to address that because for whatever reason she didn't want to, and it just turned her into the person she was. My kids today refer to her as Satan, and so they didn't say her name; they just call her Satan or the devil.
Well, Larry, first of all, hats off to you, because although society tells us as parents that this is what we should do, right? We should be putting our kids' protection and safety and mental health at the forefront. Typically, it's the mother who takes on that nurturing role, and what society tells us is mom's supposed to protect you, and mom, according to the courts in today's world, especially in Texas, they favor with the mom, and the mom always gets them. Or they assume that she's, the more nurturing, protecting parent, especially in a separation or divorce, especially when it's an adoptive blended family. And so hats off to you for fighting that stigma, I guess, and that societal expectation, and then following through, because I know it's not easy to go through all of that, and then not just for show and not just for the benefit or in spite of your ex, but because you genuinely care about the future of your daughters, and just fighting for them and going to bat. But I had a question. Was it hard for you when you went to court for this? Did they combat you, or did they give her the upper hand naturally, like how they say in court? This is a common misconception in courts, like, oh, and mom always gets the first take, like they always side with mom. Was that the same case in your scenario, in your situation?
Very, very much so. The system is so biased and against males, because everywhere I went, every situation I had, I was the bad guy, no matter what. It's just because I'm a guy.
Yeah.
And it angered me so much because I'm the nurturer one. Their nickname for me is Maddie, which is a combination of mommy and daddy.
That's adorable.
I do both. I do both roles. And so I was always the nurturing one and stuff like that. But according to the system, I'm a bad guy just because I'm a guy. And I hated it, and I still hate it, and I fight it to this day with a lot of father's advocacy groups, because I know not all dads are deadbeats. I know not all dads don't care, because that's our reputation, is we're just in it to get lucky, and that's it. And even when I go to school with them, I'm always the only dad at parent-teacher conferences. I'm the only dad at these PTA meetings. And their friends even tell them, like, well, doesn't your mom do anything? Because, our mom does everything. And they're like, no, our dad does it all.
Yeah.
And so, I have a ton of female contacts at school and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, it's very much a real thing, and it's something I despise, and I don't know in my lifetime if that will ever be righted, but I know that not all guys are bad.
I wonder because the way you say that they mention her or talk about her, I just wonder if it's because she wasn't mom, meaning like y'all adopted them, and then for her actions, it was easier to separate, to kind of disassociate with her because she really wasn't mom. I'll tell you just an experience that I have. One of my sons, his mom was not the greatest. She was really, really bad. She had CPS called on her by her own mom. She had 3 kids at the time, and no, she had 4 kids at the time, and she had them all taken away. And when we went to court, it was 4 kids, 4 baby dads, all four different guys, and the state was taking them away from her. And when we went to court, it was the same thing. She was battling like, hey, I'm the mom, they're the dads, they're not, they should come with me. And just like you, I had so much background that I was able to show, and they were able to say, hey, no, you know what, the kids are going to go with their dads. To the point where in court, she tells her lawyer, I want all these guys drug tested. Right? And so the judge agrees and says, okay, everybody's going to get drug tested. So I went to, my lawyer, and I said, hey, she needs to get drug tested as well. So they did. They tested all 5 of us, and every single dad came out clean, and she was the only one that came out dirty. Right? And so let me tell you how bad she was. To the point is when CPS went to go remove the kids, they didn't have our phone numbers. They went to go and they asked her, I need the father's phone numbers to call them because they need to come pick them up. We're taking them away, but we're going to give temporary custody to the dads. And she refused to give them any numbers. And they told her multiple times, if you don't give us numbers, we're going to put them in the boys' home, in the children's home.
Right.
And she completely was like, I don't care. And sure enough, when they removed them, they put them in a shelter, and they were there for weeks until we had our court date. So she literally did not care about the kids. I mean, this is how, if they couldn't see this, at that time, of course, the court, when it played out, it came into our favor. But to risk your kids going into a shelter and into an environment that, 1, was foreign to them, and 2, is not a great situation. I mean, they're literally, it looks like a prison. They're literally sitting in bunk beds. It's really, really bad. And she was okay with them going there rather than going with their dads. And you're right. Men always have that reputation, and it is what it is, because unfortunately there are a lot of dads that are absent from their kids' lives. Especially when there's a situation between the parents, the dads it's easier for them to get up and walk away, and the mom stays with the kids. So we understand that. However, I agree with you, and I think all of us here would agree with you, and I think there's a lot of people that listen that would agree with you that not all dads are like that. There are actually some good guys out there.
Yeah, the thing that I saw when I was in court, because I also have gone for my kiddos, unfortunately, and the thing that I saw immediately, and I was kind of mad because I was expecting like some backlash or some questioning, I did file, and it was agreed upon that that's what we would do because it was best for the kids' futures, and we were separating, but they shouldn't have to suffer. But then when we got there, of course, the other party wasn't happy about it because then he realized very quickly that the courts weren't on his side. And I kind of also, at the time, was like, well, duh, like, you're not as active as you were. You know, I really was the primary in every context possible. I was the primary custodian, and I was doing everything. He couldn't even tell you what grade they were in. He didn't know their shoe size, didn't know anything about them. But I expected, like, I had this whole case put together. I had messages, I had pictures, and expecting, like, the judge is going to come after both of us for sure. We're going to have to prove, you know, who they need to be with, who's the best option for them. But it was actually quite the opposite. When we showed up, they didn't ask me much of anything. It was pretty much decided that it's going to be 50-50, mom's taking custody. And I just was like, wait. Like, we're not even going to ask any questions. And it was almost like the innocent until proven guilty was not the case when it comes to dads. It was really guilty until proven innocent. Like, they had to prove without even an ounce of doubt that mom was not competent or able to take care of the kids financially, emotionally. And believe me, he tried. At that point when he realized he had to pay money, he really tried. And I just kind of looked at the judge like, this isn't real, this isn't true, it's not factual, I have proof, you know. But even then, she because of his approach and the way that he came about and came off very ignorant and angry and emotional and arrogant, she knew right away, like, this is just out of spite. This is just him realizing that he's gonna be on the back end of this and having to pay money, when she realized, like, oh, now he has to argue and now he has a rebuttal. But it was never even a question. She didn't even know him, and for her to immediately just assume mom's taking the kids, I was like, wow, like, that was easy. Like, I didn't have to do anything. And then I see, you know, my honey, and he had to go and, like, hire a lawyer. He had to go and, like, pay all this money. He had to fight, like, tooth and nail. You couldn't get just a court-appointed attorney. You had to actually pay, you know, retainers fee. You had to keep them on standby just in case they tried anything crazy, because it was so easy for the court to be like, mom deserves to have the baby. And not even, I mean, I could have been a murderer. They had no idea who I was up until that point. They didn't know anything about me other than what paper shows, right, with background. But he could have been right, and they never questioned it. And it makes me think to this day, like, how many kids have been ripped from the good parent, the custodial parent, whether it be mom or dad, because the judge just automatically assumes that mom deserves to have them, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
It's unfortunate.
You know, and I applaud you, Larry. You did the right thing, which is the documentation, and that's one thing that I always stress to a lot of people. You know, I even stress it to Sabrina and to everybody else that I talk to that's dealing with some type of a situation. Documentation is very important. When I hired my lawyer right away said, we're gonna start off at, you know, $3,500. We're gonna start off at about $4,000, and that's just to start. After that, depending on how many how many courts we have to go to, everything that we have to do, it's probably going to go up, just letting you know. But when I showed up with all the documentation that I had case numbers, I had pictures, I had text and emails and all sorts of things. When I showed up and I handed this to the lawyer looks at me and she says, I'm going to charge you $1,700 flat, and you're going to have your kid in less than 4 weeks.
You did all the work. Man.
Yeah, and she literally said that. She goes, you did all the work for me. I don't have to do any research. She presented this to the judge, and like she said, within weeks, let me tell you how bad she was. She didn't even show up to the court. And both times while we're there, the judge is like, well, she's not here, so case closed. And I'm like, no, let's give her an opportunity. And I would call her, and she always had an excuse. Oh, I had a doctor's appointment. Oh, I had to take a friend here. Oh, I had to do this. So after the third time, the judge says, you know what? I'm done. You have full custody. If she wants any rights, it's going to be supervised visitation. She's going to have to pay. And it just went on from there. And this is when my son was, well, I don't know, 6 years old, I think. And just like you, I never saw an ounce of child support for years. So, you know, again, I applaud you for, one, taking the steps necessary, doing the documentation, but two, also stepping up and being both mom and dad. That's very difficult. It's unheard of, you know, a lot. Like, it's not very common. It's rare, but there are people, and you're the story to tell it. So, you know, we applaud you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, and when everything went down, you know, to me, I didn't even think twice. Like, I didn't have to. To me, it was just like a no-brainer.
Yeah, natural instinct.
Yeah, and it was just instinctual. And I'll tell you, that divorce, it killed me financially. I mean, all of it together came over between 50 and 60 grand.
Yeah.
Wait. What? 50?
No.
Yeah.
No, 15.
No, no, 50.
Oh,
Oh,
5-0.
wow.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Wow.
Yeah, because in attorney fees, because she kept like fighting me on everything, and she was better off financially than I was, and so she would do it just to try to, be difficult, like
Out of spite, the way you mentioned.
yeah, she fought for custody of our dog, and it's not because she wanted the dog; she just wanted to piss me off.
Right.
So I had to have that put in the custody agreement about the stupid dog, and so it was always kind of like that. But you know what also helped me a lot too is the therapist my kids were seeing. She, because the court says when the other parent has visitation, the kids have to go with them whether they want to or not.
Correct.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And so the girls would often say they didn't want to go with her, but I didn't have a choice.
Right.
And that's what the law says. But their therapist said that that the girls should have a voice in if they want to go or not. And because of their backgrounds, forcing them to do something again against their will might actually cause more harm. And so the judge listened and actually said, okay, we'll go if the girls want to go. Cool. If they don't, they don't. And I think that kind of started spinning things in my favor, because she never got to see him because they never wanted to go with her. And so after a while, she just pretty much, gave the kids a middle finger. I remember the day, the last time we saw her, she got in their faces and said, "This is the last time you're ever going to see my face. I'm here to get you. I don't want you." And she just turned around and walked out the door. And the girls initially, my older girl pretty much says, "You know what, F her. I don't need her. I don't want her. I'm good. I don't. She doesn't have any baggage with that." My younger one took it hard because she felt like she was being rejected again by another parent.
Right.
Like her bio mom did, but she's and she still kind of has some things she's processing through all that.
It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time, Larry. The good thing that we can say in this case, the court got it right. In this case, the best outcome for the kids is in motion, and that's gonna be the thing that I think others need to hear that story as well, because they need to be able to know that if they're ever in that same situation, there is hope, because there's people that feel hopeless whenever they're in that middle of that situation, and your story right now is going to be able to be that hope for somebody else.
I hope so, and I've shared it with other people, and a lot of people are always like, "Well, I can't believe all that." I'm like, "Hey, try living it,"
Yeah.
And but I'm the one that gets to see these girls grow up and become whatever it is they want to be. And my oldest starts high school next year, and
wow.
I've had them on my own now for about 4 or 5 years. So since she was in elementary school, and it's funny. Another thing too, I remember going. This happens every time I go to the Target or Walmart or wherever, and I go and I'm buying them undergarments or bras or something like that.
Right.
Everybody looks at me like I'm a pervert.
Oh shit.
I've been there, sir. I've been there.
I get ugly looks from everybody when I'm perusing little girls' underwear or bras or something, and I hate it. But it is what it is, and the girls always say, "Well, we'll go with you, Dad, so people don't think you're a sicko." And I say, you know what? People need to see that that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
I had the discussion with them about bras, cup size versus circumference. We've done the whole thing with menstruation. I've bought them their pads, and that should be normal for a male. I don't understand why men can't just do it. It's no big deal, and I'm just gonna let the woman do it. The hell with that,
Yeah.
And so they can talk to me about that stuff, and I just talk to them about it, and I still buy them their undergarments. does bother me. But, you know, I think about that. I'm like, why does that have to be the norm? You know,
Right.
that I can't even, you know, go into a store and buy that stuff or even look at it.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's
Well,
true.
Larry. You know, I've known you, you know, for a while, you know, and I know the kind of person you are. You have a big heart, and it doesn't surprise me that you know that you're doing what you're doing because you know you were basically the same way with me, and that's why I brought it up because you know you're a nurturer, you care. You do. I can only imagine the help or whatever it is that you do for your daughters because you have to do it, and you don't. It's not like it's not only because you have to. It's because out of love, and I know that firsthand from knowing you. So, man, I really thank you for coming on and sharing that story with us, man, because we always see the other side and we don't see this side, and this side has good sides as well, and because of what you do and because of what you've done, and I see your post, you're very proud, you've posted things about them playing sports and trying different things and the science and your little TikToks that you guys post with your little music videos.
During quarantine, there was nothing to do, so of course I got on TikTok 'cause and I used to see videos of dads doing like choreographed dances with their kids, and I said, why don't we do that? So after a while, we started having like a little cult following of people watching our TikTok dances.
Nice.
We haven't done those in a while. We need to, especially since they've gotten older. They probably have better rhythm now. And I appreciate that, and Javi, just to tell you something, to get this off my chest. I've had this on my chest for the last 30 years, but do you remember your girlfriend in college, Yvonne? You remember her?
I knew you were going to bring that up. Yes, I do.
Okay. One time when you had to be at home by your curfew, which she used to kind of laugh at behind your back, and I thought that was not cool, but we were at a party and she got tanked, she got smashed, and she actually stripped and tried to make it with me.
No way.
Yeah, she did, in her dorm room, because what I did is I was sober, I was ED.
Right.
I made sure she got home to Pacelli, her dorm, and I carried her up the stairs, and I got her to her room, and then she just peeled off her clothes and said, you know what? Javi can't do anything because he's always got to be at home, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? You're smashed. You don't even know what you're talking about. So I put her clothes back on, and I got her to bed, and I left.
Yeah.
Good friend.
But I always wanted to tell you about that. I'm like, your girlfriend was not who she portrayed herself to be, because... And you remember what her nickname was, right?
Well, yes, and that's why I remember too, because of my nickname was Porky,
Yeah.
and he knew that. Larry knew that, but they used to call her Petunia.
and she was very top heavy.
Yeah.
So guys were always like, "Oh, I love this girl," blah blah blah. So I was just like, Javi needs to know this even now. She. And then after that, she never wanted to talk to me. She was probably embarrassed, but
Yeah.
and I never told anybody. It was no big deal, but that's just not. I know a lot of guys probably would have jumped on that, but that's not the right thing to do.
Well, that's
Way to be a good guy.
Good friend.
That's
Good
exactly the type of person you are, Larry, and that's why I wanted to bring you on. I wanted you to share your story, and it's good to know that story because. Yeah,
Easily turned into a woman ain't podcast.
You were a stand-up guy with her, bud. I'll tell you were a stand-up guy with her. So
I appreciate that.
Couldn't be mature in college,
Yeah.
And ended up flunking out, I think, too. So whatever.
Yeah. She got hers, her karma.
Oh yeah, of course. And they always do. My ex-wife, her karma's gonna get her too.
Yep.
I heard the grapevine. She finally bought that big, beautiful house she always wanted, but she's gonna live in her castle all by herself.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yep.
And I have a buddy of mine who actually saw her on a dating site. I think like Bumble or something like that.
Oh my god.
And he sent me like screenshots, or she was looking for a man with gentleman values or something. I'm like,
Oh, stop.
So she can control.
Right.
Man, so I was like, look at GTFO, man, whatever. So that was fun. So life works out in the way it's supposed to work out.
That's right.
Yeah, you're on the right path, bro.
And we appreciate you, Larry. We appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for your story, and like I said, it's gonna help somebody to hear this. So
it really is. It really is doing that saying where they're like, "Be the change you wish to see," because this is what's wrong with society. With when it comes to parenting, when it comes to Texas, the Attorney General, they keep asking for change, and this is exactly what they're talking about: is stop siding with the other parents. You're failing these children. You're not really taking things into consideration. You're also not, holding anybody accountable. The other parents, whenever there is, a decision made, and there's a custodial and a non-custodial parent, or just because in Texas, what I'm aware of, there's no such thing as joint custody unless the other parent just completely just gives up their rights, right? Or throws their hands up and says, I'm done. There's no accountability when that isn't the case. They're not really holding them to make payments. There's not really, they say that there are, right? We just see too many times where it's the women begging for the payment from the dad because the dad doesn't want to come around, but not quite often do they mention that the dads that are having the primary custody are the ones showing up and aren't really begging for payments or just handling business. And that needs to be shared more so that this narrative gets switched and gets turned around, and it's not always men bashing. And that's coming from a woman who has been on the other side of a deadbeat dad who didn't show up, doesn't show up, and loves to parade on Facebook with pictures that they steal from my page. And just take credit where there is none to take on their part, right? So kudos to you, kudos to Louie for being the change, for being the difference that we need to see in Texas, but really everywhere.
I appreciate that, yeah, and I can't believe that's crazy what you just shared, and I grew up hearing my mom bash my dad all the time, because my parents were divorced, and so I'm used to hearing, all my female friends bashing their boyfriends or these guys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I'm dating somebody, I'm gonna try to go above and beyond to prove to them that I'm not like a typical male. That I'm not gonna do any of those things that my gender is notorious for, and I apologize in advance for that all the time to anybody I've talked to.
Yeah.
Just because that's the burden that every male carries.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Larry. Well, again, man, we appreciate you so much for coming on, and maybe one of these days you can come on live, man. That'd be great.
Yeah, just let me know. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. If I can help one person, I'm glad to do so. But yeah, anytime, just let me know.
All right, Larry. Thanks a lot, man. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Larry.
All right. Have
Bye.
a good one.
All right. All right.
I had trouble opening that one.
Hey, you're old. Your hands don't work the
My
same.
hands don't work the same.
Oh man, I want to thank Larry for coming on, man. That was it was actually probably a little bit more than I thought. I mean, I know kind of what he was going through, but to hear, the stories of what the way this woman was, and it's like, and let me just say, like, I know last week I was really harsh on the USA's the soccer team, right? And I'm not going to take it back. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
I'm not retracting my statement.
Yeah, I'm not going to retract anything because I'm not the only one that thought it.
No.
But this is not, something to where it's not a woman bashing show, or I'm not on like
Definitely
this
not.
high horse thing where we just hate on women. No. We've been wanting to put this out for a long time because we've talked about the child support thing, and it isn't always guys. It isn't always dudes that are the problem. And I'm glad that we were able to bring him on, and Larry, like, he's just a kind-hearted dude, man. He's real genuine, and I'm glad we could have had him on. So I'm glad we did have him on. So
yeah, we had Mike made a comment regarding the women's sports and pay.
Yeah,
and
he had other comments too.
Yeah, the one on the women's sports, he just said, women's basketball, because we were talking about how the U.S. national team, wanted equal pay.
And I have something to bring up.
And they didn't get equal pay, but they did get a substantial raise. Right. So what we learned was that they combined the two salaries that they or the two incomes that they brought in, the men's national team and the women's national team
for soccer.
Soccer. And so the women's team being knocked out in the knockout round made 3-point-something million.
They only made a certain amount,
right?
Yeah.
And the men's team made over 14. But yet, per their agreement, they put the money together.
Now, and
split it.
This agreement was made by the United States soccer thing, and not just for one side or the other. It was the whole soccer federation, or whatever you want to call it, for the United States.
Correct.
So that's exactly what they did. They basically said, okay, how much money did the men's team make? Okay, and how much money did the women's team make? And now we're going to put it together, and now we're going to separate it.
Yeah.
So that was their equal pay.
Yeah. So the women brought in $3.25 million for its round of 16 exit. Exactly. And that's going to be added to the $13 million the men's team earned in Qatar. 10% of that is going to the U.S. soccer, whatever. And then the remaining balance, which was $14.625 million, is going to be shared equally between both squads. So even though they brought in $3.25 million, they're going to share, and the women's team now is going to distribute between the players $7 million.
Right. So I don't know. I don't remember what the USA did. I don't even remember if they got out of the group play.
I don't talking about the men's?
Right, the men's. I don't remember if they got out of group play.
Yeah, they didn't go far.
So they were only going to make a certain amount of money because of where they got. So if it was only group play, they were only going to make a certain amount of money.
Correct.
But let's switch it around though. So how is it, now you said making the round of 16, they made $3.5 million.
Oh yeah, they were going to make way more if they would have continued.
Of course, if they would have
right?
continued.
Yeah.
But the men's, in making, like I said, I don't remember. Louis might be looking it up. So maybe they played group play. Maybe they made the knockout round. I don't know. But just the fact that they made 14 million. I mean, there is a. I mean, obviously, come on. For somebody to just make it to group play, and then for the women just to make the round of 16. There's a huge disparity there. We have to say that.
The men's team, they also got knocked out in the round of 16.
Oh.
Yeah. They lost to the Netherlands 3-1. But they brought in 14 million.
Right.
For
the same round.
For the same round knockout.
That the women's got knocked out.
So when we're talking about that, right? So then Mike says, we were talking about the women's basketball, how they were complaining about pay as well. And, I made the comment that, hey, well, they don't bring in the same crowd. They don't bring in the same revenue. They're not selling the same amount of jerseys. They're not. It's not equal. You want equal, but it's not equal.
Right.
And so he said, women's basketball isn't as entertaining as UFC, as tennis, as boxing.
Yeah.
Right. So the U.S. women's soccer team is definitely an exception because they are playing against the entire world. Shit, even women's pool is entertaining. He goes, maybe I'm being biased because I love pool, but there are certain sports that I believe should be paid more than others, women and men. Right. And we did talk about it because we, like you said, we're not bashing women because we talked about how some of the female entertainers are some of the highest paid. Right. Some of the social media, some of the models, women are higher paid than men.
I mean, think about that. Brad Pitt, Leonardo, and those guys bring in money, but they don't bring in as much money as
J-Lo.
As much as women do.
Exactly. So
yeah.
He had. You're right. He had a few other comments. He talked about the places that weren't good, the restaurants. He agreed. With a lot of people. He did say people should never disrespect Whataburger by comparing it to In-N-Out.
Oh, that's right.
So don't ever do that. Regarding the Spanish, he said, even though my mom and dad spoke Spanish to us our entire lives, I really didn't learn Spanish until I worked as a life insurance agent. My coworkers were Cuban, Puerto Rican, and from Mexico. Plus, most of my clients spoke Spanish, so I had to adapt. So I can hold a decent conversation, but I get intimidated when someone speaks fluently. So I do agree that people should adapt to their surroundings. It will only make you a more diverse individual, which is what we were talking about, being beneficial to be able to communicate with the people that you're interacting with, right?
Yep.
He made this comment. He says, also, the fact that you even watched the show Friends and named all of the characters just goes to show you have no taste in comedy. All right, Mike, we're gonna have a sidebar conversation, me and you, bro. And then of course you have another ally.
Woo!
He says you bring up iPhone so much.
Yeah.
Because you're similar to the Dallas Cowboy haters that bring them up for no reason, but yet still watch them. He goes, that's you with Android. No, sir, because I don't watch Android. I don't care for Androids, and I don't like Androids, and I don't use them.
In between segments, you were still bringing shit up about the Androids.
Well, your Android wasn't working properly, bro.
It wasn't the phone.
Bruh.
Just to let you know, people. Okay,
Be
look.
like the kids. Bruh.
No, mom. No, it's not mom. Mom, it's bruh.
Bruh. Exactly.
Slap him in the...
Man.
Bruh. But no, we were having conversations in between like normal, and of course Louis brings up Android. So a little background here, and I don't care. I want to let people know. So we've got our little mixer here, and unfortunately, I don't know if I've got the wrong wiring. The mixer works.
It could be user error.
Here we fucking go.
I mean, it could be user error. When you're used to using an Android, it's just,
I bet you if I had a connection for the iPhone, it'd still be the same thing.
We're going to test it out next week because I'm going to get the connection for the iPhone and we're going to see.
You still can't take a good picture at night.
Oh.
You can't record aliens.
That's all you have.
You can't record aliens with your fucking phone and your iPhone, your piece of shit iPhone.
You know, I think it was my cousin. He brought it up too, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well our camera." He goes, "You always talk about messaging and green," and I'm like, "Bro, because that's what the phones are used for messaging, and you're ruining my messages, especially when you send me a video that's distorted." I know that we talk about this on the weekly, bro. I know
why.
But you know,
Louis is the one that brings it up all the time.
I do bring it up.
It's probably me.
You know what though? He's right. I do sound like a cowboy hater because that's all they do. They bring up the Cowboys for no reason.
Here we go.
For no reason.
Where's Sabrina? Jesus.
BT Dubs.
Us, man.
BT Dubs.
What's BT Dubs?
So I heard the kids say this week, right? They're like BT Dubs, and I was like, it's BTW.
By the way.
Yes. So they say BT Dubs. I don't know. Why is that? Why is that? It sounds cool. See,
sounds cool.
We heard it from their mouth. Straight from their mouth.
The Gen X mouth.
Oh, it sounds cool when they say it, not when we say it. So that's what it is.
Yeah. You know what? We just need to bring back our stuff from back in the day.
We do.
Like cap. Well, you don't know what cap means.
You don't know what cap means.
Yeah, cap completely different from what it means to y'all now.
Yeah.
You ever heard of bust a cap in his ass?
Bust a cap? That's what cap used to mean. Golly. I'm telling you, man. These kids.
Oh, God. So BT Dubs. BT Dubs.
Uh-huh.
And they're not talking about the food either.
Exactly.
No.
It's by the way.
Oh, Jesus. What else? Do they have anything else?
Oh no,
anything else they want to share?
I think we're getting a little over our head on that.
We're getting in the crankshaft mode, basically.
We are.
Yeah, having to bring up these words. This is why we need new topics. If you don't want to hear us talk about iPhones and Androids, and you just need when we post stuff out there, you just need to bring it up.
Yeah, you need to comment. Well, we do have some current events. We have some current events.
Well, we kind of brought it up earlier.
We did. We brought it up earlier. And I'm not sure if all of y'all have seen it. I'm pretty sure you have. Again, it's kind of been out there. But there was a viral brawl that happened in Alabama, in Montgomery, where we had some... I mean, I want to say entitled. They were entitled.
Yes, they were,
right?
Because when you hear the whole story,
people didn't have the whole story when it first came out.
Right, that's exactly right.
But apparently, there were some people. We'll just call them people, right? And they were on a boat, and they had been told not to park their boat
right
where the dock's at.
And the part of the report, which came from the police, because like Louis said before, when the videos were just coming out, everybody was making assumptions.
Yes.
So they didn't even know who certain people were, what they were part of.
What
so
was
they
going on.
were making announcements.
Exactly.
For whoever had this boat, it needed to be moved.
Yeah. So the person that was doing it was, I guess it was a boat tour,
like a
right? Kind
boat,
of like a
yeah.
So
exactly,
they were telling them, hey, you can't park your boat here because this is where we dock and load and unload. And they left it there. They decided not to move it.
Yeah, they just left it.
So the guy ends up getting off, going over there, and starts pushing the boat himself.
Yes.
And as he's pushing it, realizes like all of a sudden people are coming out because they're mad because they felt entitled. That's my spot.
That's my boat, man.
And so they didn't like the fact that somebody was touching their property, right?
Why you messing with my boat, sir?
So what happens when you try it in a small town? F around, you find out. And they found out because they end up first beating on this guy.
They went after him first.
Yeah, they went after him first.
The guy basically, bum rushed him, bull rushed him.
Well,
whatever
they got in his
it,
face,
like.
and he's trying to explain the situation still, and they're still getting in his face. He went from 1 to 2 guys to 3 guys. Next thing you know, there's a group. Well, I guess he didn't realize that this other guy's group was a little bit bigger, and so they end up getting into this brawl. And if you haven't seen it, man, just I don't even want to say Google.
Yeah,
go to TikTok.
Know. Just go to TikTok.
Go
to our news station.
News feed. Yeah, go to our news feed at TikTok and pull up, Montgomery Brawl, and you're gonna see this, and it's just ridiculous, man. Because
the thing is, there's so many different angles.
Yeah,
there's so many different ways. There's people on the boat. There's people that are on land.
Yep.
There's I mean,
someone
numerous
swimming.
angles. Yeah, somebody. It got to the point to where these people were entitled.
Yeah.
And they just figured, well, we're just going to do whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
And they paid for it.
So
I mean, they literally paid for it.
I know that we're kind of tiptoeing around certain things, right? That we're saying here. But I'm going to come out and say it. So you know how we were talking in the last segment, we were talking about how people have, how dads have reputations, right?
Yeah.
So it's unfair because people wanted to make this a race thing at the beginning because you had a group of white people and you had a group of black people, right? And the group of white people is the people that we're talking about that felt entitled. Right. They felt entitled that, they were not so much that they weren't in the wrong, but they were going to do what they wanted to do.
How dare you
try
to move my boat?
Do this, right? And then it just so happens that, the group of black people come out and will end up whooping their ass. And not just they brought out chairs, WWE,
WWE style.
I mean, they came out, Hacksaw Jim Duggan them. I mean, they did the whole thing, bro. Knocking people into the water. I mean, it was horrible, right? And then the way people portrayed it when it first came out was like, man, look at these black people that are doing this and how they acted, right?
Yeah.
But again, when we talk about a reaction, when you expect consequences and repercussions, right? When you act a certain way, there's going to be people that are going to react, and if you don't want the reaction, then that's where you have to think, hey, maybe I shouldn't do or say what I've done, right? And so, unfortunately, it was a horrible brawl, and it went viral. Yeah. But the good thing is the backstory and the different angles, and now you're seeing the cause of the situation and what actually happened. Right. And again, if you have any comments on it, I mean, we encourage you, go look it up, go see it for yourself. It was funny. It was funny, but it's unfortunate, but it was funny.
But when I see it, because now I'm going to take it a different angle. So right away, right, on TikTok, all you see is white people, coming out and saying, well, what was it? This grown ass man beating a woman with a chair, right?
And he wasn't beating her with a chair. He hit her once. However, she was sticking her nose.
She fucked around and she found out because she got into it. Now, let's put it not, I'm sorry, women, but if you don't want that, then maybe you shouldn't get into that.
Exactly.
Because it's pretty much fair game. And then it doesn't matter, and guys beating up on women. Nobody should do that.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to defend yourself,
exactly,
it doesn't matter who you are. If you throw a punch at somebody, somebody's going to punch back.
Well, and I thought we talked about this not too long ago, but when, first of all, women, if you don't want to get hit, you're right. Don't go hitting. I mean, I've always been taught the same thing. You're not going to go and you don't beat on women.
Well,
okay? But I also have heard the same. If you're going to hit me like a man, you're gonna get hit back like a man, right? And the one thing that it always comes to mind is when I've heard tons of people say this: if you're a woman and you're getting into it to defend your man, or men,
right,
you're really causing more harm. Because here's what's gonna happen: you're going in to defend, and you end up gonna get hit or knocked down,
right?
And when that happens, your man now has, I mean, not the opportunity, but it's like his duty now to go and defend you.
Right.
And when he does that, now he's getting hit even more from different angles because now he's trying to protect you.
Right.
And guess what? Now he's getting...
Right, because he's fighting one guy and
exactly.
then somebody hits her, and now he's fighting two guys and three guys.
Or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 in a chair.
Or somebody that came off the boat and jumped in the water.
Exactly. Oh, man. Funny
and
stuff.
And that was my thing, though. It was like, I'm like I said, I'm gonna take it a different direction because people on TikTok came out and obviously they were defending the entitled people, saying, how could you let a grown ass man beat up a woman with a chair,
correct,
and yada yada, but yet that same person fell silent when the other side was getting beat up,
exactly,
and killed and shot or doing other sorts of things. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, where's the why was there such an outrage on one side?
Where's the line and where is it not crossed?
Why is there outrage from this side and not outrage for this side? I mean, you have to see it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you didn't see anything when this,
when other things were happening.
Right. Other stuff was going on. Zip.
Yeah.
His mouth was shut. And now some lady gets her ass beat with a chair. And he wants to, nah. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. Now, again, like we said, they effed around. They found out, and they weren't expecting that outcome.
No.
I don't think they were expecting to be, have 20 deep come over them and then be like, what's going on? So, lesson learned.
Yeah, that's definitely.
You'd hope, right?
It did bring up a whole bunch of good TikToks.
A lot of reenactments.
A lot of reenactments. A lot of
reenactments.
The sales of plastic chairs went up at Walmart.
Oh yeah, oh, man, floaties, you name it.
I saw this one TikTok of this guy said, because of the guy that jumped from the boat in the water to come on land, that the swimming lessons at the YMCA shot up like 200%.
Man, people are ruthless, bro. No. People are ruthless.
Yeah. So there you go, man. I mean, geez.
Well, just real quick, another thing that I saw recently, and the flash rob.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I sent that to you, right?
Yeah,
flash rob. So it's also known as flash mob robbery, where it's an organized form of theft in which a group of participants enter a retail shop, a convenience store, in masses, and they steal goods and other items and ransack the place. In Glendale, California, just a few days ago, midday at a mall, they went into the store and reported they stole an estimated $300,000 worth of stuff. I've heard that it's also happened in Houston, and I believe it happened There was another place in California. I don't know, it was L.A. and then I think there was one in Florida. Like, there's been quite a few here recently, but that one in Glendale was supposed to be one of the biggest ones. I mean, $300,000.
Well, there's people that they have video of in going into Walgreens.
Yep.
And it's maybe one, maybe two people, dude, and they don't care that they're on camera. They don't care that they have, some people are recording them. They're just literally just grabbing stuff and putting it in their bags and walking out.
There was 30 people that were involved in this one in Glendale. 30 people. Another one in Westfield, Topanga, or something like that. Over there in LA, they had another $100,000 stolen at a Nordstrom.
Yeah.
And that one, I think it was like 50 people that ran in there. It's just crazy. I'm just thinking somebody's going to get caught, right? I mean, you're probably not going to get all 30 or all 50 people, but imagine the fall guy.
Right.
Imagine the scapegoat.
Say? They're going to ask him.
Yeah. And then he's going to have to be either he's going to be tight-lipped and take the fall, or he's going to start singing like a canary and start,
loose lips sink ships, bro.
That's right.
Loose lips sink ships.
That's one thing that I'm waiting to see. I want to see what comes out of that as well.
Yeah, we were that's crazy, man. I mean, I don't know. I guess you don't know what other people are going through, but is it
30 to 50 people?
Is it that bad?
I mean, was that a whole family?
Do you get a group of people just to go steal shit?
I mean, because you're right. We don't know what other people are going through. We know that, especially, we know how inflation is, and we know how things are pricey. I mean, shoot, 30, 50 people go steal some gas, because that's just going through the roof right now, man. But I'm just thinking, you're saying, man, what some people might be going through, but then you think about it, but it was 30 to 50 people, like, were they all cousins?
Right.
Were they relatives?
Right.
No,
what
to
really
me,
happened?
I mean, I'm going to assume, we don't like to do that all the time, but I'm going to assume that it was 30 to 50 necios that decided, hey, man, I'm going to go and let's go try this.
Yeah.
Maybe they either heard about it, they've seen it, and they said, why don't we try? And they leave with $100,000 to $300,000.
You know what I speak? It's kind of along the lines of that. What I don't like is when people walk out on bills.
Oh.
Yeah, at restaurants. We talked about that whole thing about tipping and how these people, only get paid a certain amount. Well, here they come right now.
So, yeah.
Oh, here's the police.
They're on their way.
So, and you see certain videos because they'll post, because a lot of businesses will put the video out there because they want to catch them. That's not money that just that server's making. They're not paying for the food.
Exactly.
So the restaurant's losing out on money.
Well, and not only that, you have, when that happens, so I'm going to, small story, right? We always have a story.
Always stories.
So we have a group of friends that we've hung out with, and there's always this one guy, and I'm not going to call him out, but this one guy,
Do
man,
it. No, I'm kidding him.
He's literally, he's done it multiple times.
Oh, my God.
To the point where he's left, some of us and one of our other friends kind of like, bro, I have to pick up the tab. Yes, you know who I'm talking about.
I think I know who you're talking about.
The same one that was pissing under the table one time. I'm like, this guy leaves and doesn't realize, like you said, it's not only affecting the server, it's affecting the store, but the server is the one that is responsible now to pay that bill.
That's the sucks.
And when you're sitting there drinking Blanton's, whiskey, a pretty pricey whiskey,
pricey shit.
and racking up $150 bill, and then you walk out, dude. That's some.
I definitely know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
now,
that's some stuff, man. We've had to circle around and corner him and be like, hey, bro, you got to pay some of this tab because we weren't going to allow the server to have to take the tab herself. So we picked up the slack. Right. It just sucks,
and
man.
I mean, they're already struggling, right? And again, we talked about tipping. Like, some of these guys don't get tipped. Some of these guys and girls, women, don't get tipped what they should. So they might be a slow night. Maybe they're not having a lot of tips, and then all of a sudden, some fucking jerkface wants to walk out on a $150 bill. I'm like, that's out of their pocket now. Come on, man.
Yeah, sucks because you're right. we did talk about the whole tipping thing, and you know how some people feel entitled to it as well, but they're not entitled to being stiffed on the check.
Right.
Man,
Nobody
come
wants
on.
that. Jerks.
And they're our friends.
You know, they're
Well,
your friends.
acquaintances.
They're your-
Acquaintantences. We're gonna say that acquaintances.
They your friends, not
They're
mine.
your friends. They wasn't even my friend either. It was his friend. Yeah, I was just hanging around.
Was that Cranky?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was his friend. It was Cranky's friend, man.
Yeah, Cranky. We love you, Cranky.
Yeah, bro.
Well, yeah, man. Again, I want to thank Larry for coming on.
And Sabrina being another guest.
Being on here.
The women's perspective.
It's always good to have the women's perspective.
Yeah.
But man, you know, just remember, keep following us on Facebook,
Instagram,
TikTok.
TikTok.
Um,
Go to Spotify. Share your comments there.
oh yeah, Barbara Gabe's thing today. Hopefully.
Oh
he
yeah,
did-
yeah. So
hopefully
Bart
he
Gabe
did good.
was having his event. Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, this guy had almost 800 backpacks. 800 backpacks to give away
No
today.
way,
You know,
bro.
not all of them had supplies, but for the majority, it was about
Yeah.
300-400. It was going to be another great event. He had, you know, again, they were doing haircuts and nails, and they were giving away switches, bikes, basketballs,
Dude.
different things. So shout out to all the people that helped organize this. Gabe, who's been doing it for 10 years now. I told him that next year, man, you know, count me in as well, so we can see what we can do. I want to bring him on, you know, before he does it, so that way we can give him that time.
We need to keep track of that.
And then even possibly do an on location
remote?
type of a thing.
Dang, we could.
Man, we can, you know, interview some of the parents or the
Yeah,
kids and see how
exactly.
they feel about the situation. I mean, dude, it's something great, right?
Yeah.
That he again started really small. But it's just getting bigger and bigger every single year, and
That's
so
cool,
props
man.
to him. Shout out to him. Give
Yeah.
it back to the community.
I hope very very much success.
Yeah, I told him to share some pictures, so that way, you know,
Yeah.
we get them and we'll throw them out there on our social media as well.
Yeah. Nah, man, that's really good. To be 800 backpacks, dude. And, you know, just to finish off, like, that's 800, you know, possibly kids or people that maybe, you know, they needed that.
Yeah.
You know, because times are hard and, you know, a lot of people, you know, was it Roger?
Yeah.
Put that thing out there.
So when we were talking about that, so you know what? I did want to bring that up, man. So when we were talking about the deadbeat, you know, the deadbeat moms, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
So, you know, we were talking about that, and it's just, so one of the comments, and we didn't mention it, but it was Roger's comment, when we were saying, you know, they deadbeat moms exist, right? So his comment was, man, I know I have it here. Yeah, here it is. So he says, you know, moms that spend $300 on their hair and $150 on their nails, and then buy the kids Hill Country Fair bologna and crackers for dinner, they do exist, right? Those that want to go and get free supplies, they do exist. And I'm thinking, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's just, you can say that about a lot of people, man. It's just, you know, yeah, they exist. They do. They do. But those aren't the ones that we were calling out.
No. I mean, it's, you know, there are people that are struggling, and, you know, I guess you can look at it both ways. It's like, do you really want to get into other people's business that way? Like, okay, I don't know. I mean, we could go off on that, you know, because it's kind of like know your role, stay in your lane, type thing.
You know,
like,
here's the thing. You mentioned it just a little while ago. There are some people that we don't know what they're going through.
Yeah, we don't.
You know,
No,
we don't know. Hey, we don't know if she was using her money. Maybe somebody paid for her or paid for her nails.
Right.
You know, baby daddy or sugar daddy, right? There's some that's what they do.
It's out there, and there's
you
a
know?
website for it too.
Exactly, there is. OnFans.
Oh
But
yeah, there's another one too. But yeah,
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, everybody can have an argument and everybody can judge.
Yeah.
I mean, the way we talked about, like, even when Larry was on it, he was mentioning, you know, I'm pretty sure people judge me or see me a certain way when they see him perusing through the you know, the children's underwear and stuff. And it's like, people judge right away.
Right.
And they don't know the backstory.
He's doing what he has to do.
He's doing what he has to do.
I mean,
And I mean,
He said himself, he's a Maddie.
Yeah,
He's a mommy and a daddy.
And granted, women do what they have to do as well, and I mean, sometimes it's $300 hair. I mean, it happens.
There's some nappy hair that they need to work on.
But you think about it. How many times? And I was doing the breakdown, right? It's funny. How many times do women actually do their hair? They do it once every so often, right?
You're asking the wrong person.
Once every couple of months, once every 3 months. So let's say they spend $300 on hair.
Yeah.
I know guys that go get haircuts weekly and are spending $40 to $50. So you think about it weekly. So you think about it. Let's just say they're even paying $30 a week, right? That's $120 a month. That's $240 for 2 months. You're actually equaling out the same amount for the hair that the women are spending.
Did you see that?
I was just kind of thinking about that. Now the nails is a different story. I'm not gonna get different story.
But
however,
it's like it's kind of saying like just stay in your lane, man. Like if people are doing, just let people do what they're gonna do, man. I mean,
if it ain't bothering you,
why? If it's not affecting you, why is it bothering you? I don't know, but just stay in your lane and don't worry about it. Like let them.
So know your role and shut your mouth.
Yeah, well, that was famous words. Famous words, man. All right. Well, man, again, Louis, good show. Sabrina, thank you for being here. Larry.
And thank you, everybody, for the feedback.
Thanks for the feedback. Keep
Can't
in
wait
touch,
till next week.
man. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
All right, later.